Alright boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. So this is the second part of the Arias CR-16 review. We're going to walk through why zero offset is so important, how it allows you to aim much easier, how your technique is going to actually improve using a golf club like this, even though it may seem like it's a little bit harder just from the top line view. A lot of folks would look at this and say, Jeremy, that's a little too hard to hit for me. But the reality is it's not as hard as you think because it forces proper technique. I'm a huge geometry guy. If the geometry and the physics don't line up, i.e. you add offset to a golf club, it takes away proprioception, which is our ability to sense the target in space. So we lose our geometric capability because our lines get off, our angles get off, and then we have to manipulate the club face with the tiny muscles in our hands at impact, which leads to off days ball striking. That's not what I teach here. We use physics, geometry, and biomechanics to hit the ball consistently, day in and day out. So let's get into the review. Thanks guys for watching. What I want to talk about is the fact that you can bend these clubs flatter than most clubs on the market. These in particular are bent 6 degrees flat. But I've had them in the past bent all the way up to 8 degrees. And the reason for that being is because they do have zero offset. So you don't have the fear of cracking the hosel because there's more integrity in the golf club. So this is the pitching wedge, which I notice a lot of people struggle with hitting straight. And again, that's not a problem with Arias golf clubs because you're not fighting the offset. So your release pattern is just going to be more consistent with less timing. So for me, one of the things I really love about the design of this club is that it is a muscle back, and it does have a very sharp leading edge, which is a little dirty, but in comparison to most golf clubs on the market, that leading edge is going to give you a far purer strike of the golf ball. And if you hit it a little heavy or a little thin, you're going to get the same results because you got the muscle back that's going to allow the club to hit the ball with the same velocity and essentially fly it almost as far as you would on a pure golf shot. So one of the things I see in a lot of reviews is they don't go through every single club in the bag. They talk a little bit about club design, the benefits of the technology, etc., but they don't go into the club, hit a pitching wedge, talk specifically about what's good about that club, and then go to the 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron. So this is a very comprehensive review. Why Arias golf clubs are better suited for the everyday golfer, because the geometry is far more consistent and you're not fighting inertia of a toe connected to an offset golf club. So when you release to the target, you can fully release it and never worry about hooking it or anything bad. Essentially, worst case scenario, you might pull it with a little open club face, it'll fade back towards the target, and you'll be a more consistent golfer with clubs like this. So now we have the 9-iron here, and for me, the thing about the 9-iron that I love in this golf club that you won't find in other golf clubs is, in fact, the entire set of Arias clubs is the lofts are traditional. They're not strong. So you're not going to have to worry about hitting a 9-iron 200 yards on occasion because you just turned it down a little bit too much and the technology just turned that golf ball into a rocket. So traditional lofts, no offset, a little bit of muscle back technology for mishits. And what you end up with is something that develops technique far superior. And so I hit a lot of knockdown 9-irons because I tend to be in between, we'll say, 140 and 160 a lot on longer par 4s. And so I found that a more accurate shot is a knockdown 9-iron. And with a lot of the modern golf clubs, I struggle with this shot because there's so much offset. It's hard to get the trajectory right. It's hard to get the geometry right. But with this 9-iron, I don't have to change anything. There's not so much technology that I have to sit there and manipulate the club head in 72 different ways to manage the hollow face technology, etc. I just step in, choke up about 1/2 inch, narrow my stance, shorten my swing, and what I essentially get is a controlled golf shot. Just like that. Now I can hit that 140 to 160 yardage when I'm in between clubs without the worry of hitting it left or right, because I've got to open the club face, or I've got to, really get a lot of forward shaft lean put in the back of my stance because of the offset, etc. So everybody has the most consistent golf club in the bag, or at least one iron that they find to be more forgiving and reliable than others. And for me, that's the 8-iron. For 10 Cup, that was the 7-iron. We've all seen that funny scene. He ends up playing an entire US Open qualifier with only a 7-iron and ends up qualifying on the last 9 holes. But for me, it's the 8-iron. I feel like I can do anything with this golf club. And one of my biggest issues with the modern clubs is they really minimize your ability to be creative with a club that you're really confident with. So I can draw this club, I can hit it high, low, faded, I can spin it. Doesn't matter. Anything I want to do with this golf club, I can do it. And so I think the reason why I'm bringing this up for this particular review is because I think too much technology is actually a detractor from good technique. And we've talked about this in our Leverage Strike podcast, but if you have a properly geometrically set up golf club that's balanced properly and can utilize all of the physics, in fact, all of the rules and science of physics that we follow on a day-to-day basis, you can find that it's easy to swing smooth and hit a long way. So for me, the Arias CR-16 with the new softer steel is an even better club. And I've come close twice to 2 hole-in-ones, and I've only had these clubs for 2 months. And I've been within an inch of the hole twice with this golf club. One was for an eagle on a par 4, and the other was for a hole-in-one on a par 3. So some of us, we have golf clubs in the bag. As we go to long irons, we add more forgiveness to them. And that can be beneficial for a little while. But again, I feel like it's a detractor of technique. So again, simple technology here with the 7-iron, cavity back, no offset, sharp leading edge. Plenty of bounce though for the wet days. You don't have to worry about mishits on wet days with the sharp leading edge. If you hit a little heavy, there's just enough bounce curve there in the leading edge where it will slide, and you'll still get mostly full distance. And today's a perfect example of that. It's a little wet. Rain last night. It's actually kind of drizzling right now. And I just feel like I'm always going to hit these clubs solid. And so, again, sometimes too much technology is not the best thing. And in the case of these golf clubs, and for more advanced golfers, the CR-16s are great. But again, if you want something a little less advanced, a little more forgiving, the D23s can't be beat. And honestly, I think you could buy one set of these golf clubs and they might last an entire lifetime if you take good care of them. So the next club that I'm going to be reviewing is the 6-iron. Now, if I were going to build a set of golf clubs that were a little more forgiving, 6 through 4-iron, I think I would probably go to the D23s. But again, I'm all about the purity of technique, as Mo Norman would say. And for me, I love this small head. I love the fact that the weighting is right. It's in balance. I just feel like I don't have to swing as hard with this golf club as I do with the modern golf club to make it fly. Hey guys, just a quick reminder. I am an independent content creator so that I can get back into competition. So if you could take a moment to hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. And if you want to, join the Academy. We have a ton of great content out there, a ton of great members that are really starting to interact with each other and grow their games in ways that they didn't know was possible. So take 5 minutes, check out the membership side, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notifications on new content, and we will see you soon. Enjoy the content. So now we're on to the 5-iron, and one of my biggest issues with the modern 5-iron is it's just too damn forgiving. If I've got a tucked right pin or a tucked left pin behind a bunker and I've got to fly at 200 yards, I feel like I can only hit one specific shot, whereas with a blade like this, I can draw it, I can fade it, I can hit it high, I can hit it low. And again, if you just take a look at Tiger Woods' clubs for years, he was probably the best shot maker in the game. He played true blades his entire career with minimal offset. There's something to be said for that. So for those of you guys out there that are wanting to learn how to work the ball, you want to play a draw into a left pin like so. Or you want to play a fade into a right pin. You're interested in hitting a high shot into a really hard green. All you have to do is swing and trust, and your mind will do the rest. So again, as far as purity of technique goes and just general design of a golf club, I believe simpler is better. Am I a little biased? Yes. I've tried every other club on the market. And in my opinion, over time, what I've found is simpler is just far better if you're looking to have better technique. And finally, we have the 4-iron. Now, for me, I love my long irons to be workable, but more importantly, I love them to be able to go low. I play a lot in the wind. Most of my competitive golf is played between Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Colorado, and Wyoming. And trust me, the wind in this region, as many of you already know, is pretty serious. That's why we have a lot of links courses out here. So low shots are extremely important. And what I found with the Arias irons, because the geometry is set up more in line without offset, I can really put that ball in the back of my stance and trust it's not going to be blocked or it's not going to go left if I fully release it. And I can hit some real beautiful stingers like so. That slow rise, start low, rise, and have a ton of spin on them. So they take 2 hops, check, and are very, very, very repeatable. And more importantly, predictable. So if I'm into a headwind, I don't have to sit there and think about, okay, I have this cavity back technology, I have hollow back technology, I have, weighting that's in the toe, whatever, and I have to offset all that to hit it low because the toe is going to try to turn over on me at impact. With Arias clubs, because the geometry is set up in the sacred manner, in the proper manner, I can now manage the club face far superiorly. So if I'm into a headwind, I just put it in the back of the stance, trust, and swing normal. And I get beautiful low shots that rise up. And then of course I can work it left, right, right to left, depending on where the wind's coming from, which will allow me to stand the ball up into the wind to give me further capability to be predictable in tougher conditions. So on this next shot, I'm going to show you the opposite of that, which is you can also go really high with these irons, much more so than I ever anticipated. And in the modern game today, with the modern ball, the modern greens, you really need to be able to hit the ball high. And I'm a low ball hitter. So in the past, I would try to hit these long irons high, and I would tend to leave the club face open or maybe slightly closed because I would have to manipulate my path, my angles. But with proper geometry and less technology, if I want to hit it high now, I can simply trust just putting it in the front of my stance and swinging absolutely normal, and the ball will come out high. Just like so. So now when I get to those 230, 240 yard par 4s that I need to land it soft on, it's way simpler. Tee it just a touch higher, move it to the front of my stance. Worst case scenario, I hit it top of the face, but again, They have the cavity back technology, so it flies nearly to the hole, has a little bit of top spin, rolls onto the green, and I got a 30-footer. And I've experienced it a number of times where I've gotten to a really tough green, I've had to fly it over a bunker and land it soft, and I've been able to hold the green and keep it within 20 feet of where it landed. Again, leads to predictability, and when it comes to long irons, that's probably the most important thing to have, is predictability and consistency. And I gotta say, simpler is better here. Less technology, sharp leading edge, cavity backs with zero offset, and I feel like I could dial a dumpster in from 300 yards away and hit it. Can be looking for something a little more forgiving. They do make a model called the D23, which is a cavity back design, as you can see, and it gives you a little thicker top line, so it's not quite as blade-like over the ball. So you can really set into it, aim correctly, but have the peace of mind. So you can really set into it, aim correctly, but have the peace of mind that you're going to hit a solid golf shot even if you toe it or heel it. Now, this club probably isn't quite as good for technique if you're trying to be a more advanced golfer. You know, this will be good if you're an amateur that doesn't have much time to practice. You're just looking for something that aims a little easier. But if you're looking for something that builds technique, you'll be far better off with the CR-16. But with that being said, it's still a great golf club, and it is the original design, which I played competitively for years, did pretty well with it, but again, my goal was to become a great ball striker, so I needed a little better, a little more refined technology, smaller club head, softer metal, etc. And I just want to make a note, I had this club for 5 years, and I could sell this right now in great condition, and I've hit, I bet, close to 10,000 balls with this set of irons. The 431 SS steel that Arias uses is far superior to any other steel out there for longevity and consistency. I still get within 200 RPM of the spin numbers I got when I first put these clubs in play. Alright guys, so this is the range review. Now I'm going to show you a few shots that I've hit on the course, both good and bad, and just kind of talk you through a voiceover of what I liked about the golf club and what I didn't like, because again, no club is perfect, so we have to take a minute to talk a little bit about the cons of this golf club. Mishits aren't going to go nearly as far as the modern club, so if you go with the CR-16s, you need to be, I'd say, at least a sub 10 handicap. But if you're going to go with the D23s, I think it fits every recreational golfer out there, and even all the way down to 5 handicappers can really benefit from having the D23s, because they're so forgiving, so light, so well made, so balanced, that you're going to be more consistent with less practice. But again, if you want to go with the CR-16s, you got to practice, you got to put the work in, and you need to have proper technique. But I don't think you can develop proper technique unless you go to a club like this, because once you add offset in, it forces you to become a timing golfer. It forces you to use the small muscles in your hands to hit golf shots, which is not what we do here at the TMG Academy. So again, like I said, I'm slightly biased. I need something that is perfectly balanced, both from a biomechanical point of view for my body, from a physics point of view, so it manages itself and I don't have to swing it or time it or release it or anything like that. It releases itself. And then finally, geometrically, I need something that can be flat enough, because the modern clubs today are just too upright for you to hit consistently unless you're timing it. With a flatter swing, you might miss a little left or right, but you're going to hit it pure all the time. So you might be coming in from this angle and you release it a touch late. It's still pure, goes a little bit right, maybe it curves back a touch, or you release it a little bit early. You hit it down low a little, it starts a little left, and maybe it fades back a touch, but your dispersion is very tight because you're hitting it extremely consistently. And I think if you can't flatten your clubs enough, which 99% of modern clubs today you cannot flatten because it will crack the hosel, you're doing yourself a disservice. So from my standpoint, there's no better club on the market, and I would compare these again to any Mizuno blade or even Miura blade on the market today. And I would actually say they're better because of the geometry. There's zero offset, true zero offset, guys. This is the key, true zero offset. So if you don't understand that from a geometry and scientific point of view yet, hopefully you'll be going through my process, my system, and you'll eventually understand it. So for those of you that are new to my channel, again, check out my swing development program to learn how to swing the golf club with zero timing and be consistent day in and day out. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, you know where to leave them. Thanks again, guys.